Hello everyone, glad to be back. It's still 2nd of May. Now it's 9 o'clock in the afternoon, and this video will be my second update for today for Patreon only, and I will share with you latest news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages. If I may, I will start with Bryansk region because today one more train was derailed in Bryansk region, and not just locomotive. In early morning, I did report in first update that locomotive was damaged during because of terror strike of Zelensky's regime. And this afternoon, 1947 by local time, one train also was derailed. This time, not just locomotive, but also 20, almost entire train. It had 20 carrots, and according to latest news, latest updates on this topic, railway was damaged, and that's main reason why train derailed. Well, it's becoming, as I said, I don't know, quite a few times in previous updates, Ukrainian terrorism becoming a part of everyday life in Russia, and I'm afraid it will stay this way for quite a while, and Ukrainian terrorism will get to Europe also, because once Ukrainian Nazis will lose, and they will definitely lose this fight, they will take on the West, because they will declare that they were betrayed by West. And I believe Ukrainian Nazis will conduct terrorist attacks on European soil also, and European because it's just easier for them to reach Europe. But US or any other Western country will not be safe either from these mass murderers, man. For the morning, we will probably have more information, and I will share in morning's update. Let's continue. This is RIA Novosti's report today. Russian Defense Minister Shoigu did make quite a few statements. He did share information about special military operation, and he said that during the previous months, armed forces of Ukraine lost more than 15,000 soldiers. I did not watch his video. I just read information about it, and I did not watch because I just don't watch TV. I did say it quite a few times that I don't watch TV at all. Only if I see some episodes from some TV programs on YouTube, I may spend some time on it, but usually I'm reading news. And yes, today he did stated that more than 15,000 soldiers have been lost by Ukrainian armed forces, and point is that he did not specify, at least I did not see any specification in articles about it. He meant killed and wounded, or he meant KIA. But in any way, 15,000 is quite it's unbelievable number, isn't it? Really. So basically, casualties of Ukrainian armed forces doubled since the previous months. And this is one of the reasons, lack of manpower, that I think Zelensky's regime will be unable to pull off large-scale counteroffensive in direction of Azov Sea. I did spoke about it quite a few times, and no need for me to repeat myself, really. Let me continue now, and this is also quite interesting news, because in this case, TASS news agency is reporting that, according to Prigozhin, head of PMC Wagner, today, approximately 1325 Russian artillery or PMC Wagner artillery units did target armored vehicle close to, in opening between Chisovyar and Bakhmut. And according to PMC Wagner's leader, Yevgeny Prigozhin, this car was used by head of Ukrainian territorial defense, Igor Tantsura, and he was killed as a result of the strike of Russian artillery forces. We did see quite a few times in recent days that many high-ranking Ukrainian military or political leaders are visiting frontline, many of them using this as an opportunity to make from themselves some media person. They always are with journalists and making videos and pictures and then trying to attract some attention of Ukrainian public and gain some political points. But when it comes to military, high-ranking military officials of Ukrainian Armed Forces, I mean, they should know better. They should know that Bakhmut is in cold room and all the roads are under Russian direct fire. And why this person was uninformed, or why he was trying to go through Russian fire lines, I just don't understand. I truly don't understand, man. But that's what happened. Maybe he was thinking that this information is not true. Who knows what information Ukrainian high-ranking officials really have? Maybe they are starting to believe in lies that they are perpetrating. Who knows? But according to Prigozhin, this high-ranking military official of Zelensky's regime was eliminated by Wagner forces today. This is also interesting news. RIA Novosti reporting that Putin did participate today in a ceremony of opening tramway lines in Mariupol. We call it tramway. Probably in English it's also tramway. And why this information is important in my understanding. And I was thinking, I'm going to share this information with our community because this is happening in time when almost entire Western media and Ukrainian officials in unison are talking about some large-scale counteroffensive, which will never happen, in my opinion. But still, they are talking about it. And if Russian intelligence had any doubts that they will be able to hold on territories in that land bridge between Crimea and mainland Russia, I don't think Moscow will invest in Mariupol right now. So in heavy terms, because I did check quite a few times video and photo materials from Mariupol. This city is rebuilding in quite rapid speed, really. And Moscow is heavily investing in Mariupol. And if there was any doubts that they're going to hold on to this territory, probably they will not do this kind of stuff. They will take it time, isn't it? They will say, no, let's deal with this Ukrainian Nazi regime first, and then we will rebuild. But probably confidence is so high in Moscow that they are investing heavily in rebuilding towns and cities and settlements, and that's one of the, for example, arguments also when I'm saying that there will be no large-scale counteroffensive for Zelensky's regime, or they will, and if local scale ones will definitely take place. I'm quite sure about it, because after all, Zelensky have to show something, at least something, to his masters in Washington and London. But even then, they will fail. Absolutely. And to have such confidence, I mean, I'm using all the information that I can gather from open sources, and for now at least, my reading of big picture is that Zelensky's regime will definitely fail. Definitely not. There is nothing to indicate that they will prevail. I mean, Zelensky and his henchmen. There's no such basis. Let me continue, and this is quite interesting. Also, RIA Novosti is reporting about statements that Secretary of Russian Security Council Patrushev made, Nikolai Patrushev, and he said that US funds and think tanks are one by one now coming up with some documents about disintegration of Russian Federation, and probably this is happening because this topic of Russian disintegration of Russia is quite popular in Washington, and these think tanks do understand what kind of materials White House officials or some other officials want to see, and they are writing what elites want to hear and making huge amounts of money, I guess. But when it comes to those documents itself, according to Patrushev, main directions are support of separatist movements and support of fifth column inside Russia. When it comes to separatist movements, there is not such a thing in Russia, honestly, that separatist movement. It's not 90s, man. These people, they are trapped in this era, Cold War era or post-Cold War era, first decade, I mean, in 90s, when Russia was very different than it is now, very different. At that point in 90s, Western elites did support separatism, and Chechnya was example of that. But that time is gone, long gone. And nowadays Russia is a completely different story. And today, all national republics, autonomous republics in Russia, perfectly well understood how beneficial it is to be part of this huge, great state. They are benefiting from it. So if anyone, even if any crazy individual will come up with some strange ideas that, you know what, we should separate and we will be better off, people gonna laugh at that kind of individuals, man. Honestly, I mean, I did live in, me and my family, we lived in North Ossetia, Alania, for example, for quite a while. We are in Russia since 2009, and majority of this time, now yes, we are in Moscow region, but majority of this time we spend in North Ossetia, Alania, and I can say that if anyone come up, for example, in North Ossetia with the idea to get separated from Russia, I mean, people will not even take them seriously. People will just laugh. And I believe same will happen in every other national autonomous republics, because I mean it's so beneficial for republics to be part of Russia that, I mean, it's that's why I'm saying something is truly wrong with these think tanks in US. If they think they may push some separatist ideas in Russia, they cannot, man. They cannot. They don't have a base for this. When it comes to fifth column, that's a different story, because I believe Western elites already have quite a few their assets in Russian elites, and because of problem of corruption, they will probably be able to buy off some representatives of the so-called elites. But yet again, I mean, that's why special services are existing to deal with this kind of threats, isn't it? So, I mean, modern Russia is quite stable internally, and I don't think Western elites will be able to cause some internal turmoil and destabilization of Russia. No. And definitely not separatism, because, I mean, who needs that? And why, for God's sake? In this era of when countries are trying to establish more and more close ties, and it's I mean, we like it or not, but it's integrational processes that are taking place, not disintegration processes. And BRICS, for example, that's one of the right ways for integrational processes, isn't it? But that's quite different story anyways. So yes, it's interesting. This news is interesting because when I was reading this, I was thinking these funds and think tanks, they there is two variants. One is that they are just writing crap because they know Washington wants to see something like that, and they are just gaining money, making money out of it. And second variant is that they are just too dumb, really, those think tanks. They don't really understand real situation in Russia. I don't know. Let me continue now, and this is also interesting news, yet again, about Ukrainian terrorism. They did conduct terror attack against high-ranking police officer in Melitopol. Today, they plant explosive next to his house. So, as I said, man, unfortunately, this kind of terror attacks will take place for some time, and not just in Russia, but in European states also, because it will take no longer for Ukro-Nazis to to get mad on West also, because they hate everybody, really. They hate everybody. They're using West right now. West is thinking that they are using those Nazis. These Nazis are thinking that they are using West. But in any case, it will not take long before these Ukrainian Nazis will turn their attention on Europe and on the West. And then Western countries had to deal with Ukrainian terrorism. It's only a matter of time, and this will definitely happen. And this news gonna be last news for this short update. It's about Poland. RIA Novosti is reporting that it's quite strange news, to be honest, because according to this information, Vice Prime Minister of Poland, Petr Gliński, in his interview to Courier Lubelski, that's a media outlet, he said that he is not happy with the opposition, Polish opposition, because Polish opposition is against the prolongation of this war. They want this war in Ukraine to end. They are for peace, and they are for peace because half of Polish electorate are also for peace. They don't want this confrontation to continue in Ukraine. And this so-called official is mad about this, man, that people in Poland are for peace. Can you imagine this? I mean, how crazy is that? But he is going even further than that. Then, after criticizing Polish society, half of the Polish society, and almost claiming them that they are all traitors and stuff like that, and after criticizing Polish opposition, very same person, this Petr Gliński, starting criticizing Europe, because according to him, half of Europe is also traitors, because they are also not for, they are not very keen to prolong this conflict in Ukraine, and they want peace negotiations to start as soon as possible. So, I mean, you tell me really what is wrong with Polish elites if these kind of crazy individuals that are, I mean, openly saying that they are for more war, more confrontation, more blood, more destruction, that these kind of individuals are representing them. I mean, Polish elites, man, current Polish government. I mean, what is wrong with them? But in normal country, in normal situation, anybody with such statements that he is making will end up in, I don't know, probably will be forced to take some psychiatric treatment. because what he's saying is that he truly wants more blood, more destruction. And in Russia, for this kind of statements, he will end up in jail, really. Because you cannot call for a war and destruction, and you cannot, aggregate some extremism towards anybody. But in Poland, it's not just okay, but this kind of individual is in government of Poland. He is a vice prime minister. And he is criticizing half of the Polish society, Polish opposition, and half of the Europe because they are not warmongers, according to him. I mean, crazy though. Truly crazy times, isn't it? If you are for peace, some idiot may come up and say that you are traitor, man. I mean, what is wrong with this world, really? I mean, but it is what it is, man. I hope you will find this video interesting. It's quite short video, yes. It's 21 minutes for now. And I hope these second updates are useful, because in one sense I'm sharing in afternoon's news that I will probably also use in morning's main updates on YouTube channel. No, maybe not all of them, but at least some of them. So it's kind of preview of news that will be in main update. Okay, that's been said. I wish you a nice day. Take care and see you soon.